Interjecting, interrupting. What's the difference? I'm going to teach you some drills for both of them. Interjecting technically means getting your voice into a conversation when there is a moment, even if it's a very brief moment, a lull in the action, or someone has offered a moment for people to volunteer their opinions. And you'll see many, many folks have a difficult time speaking up in these kind of contexts. That's interjecting. What is interrupting? Technically, it means that you're speaking while other sound is happening in the room, meaning someone else is saying something and you have to speak over them. We're going to talk about interrupting first, actually, because that's the one that's the most fraught. Everyone knows that you shouldn't interrupt, and I agree, by the way. So the bottom line rule, the Hippocratic oath here of first do no harm, is don't interrupt. Just don't do it. Now comes a caveat. We all live in the real world, and we all know that at some times, and working with some people, if you don't interrupt, at some point, you're never actually going to contribute to the conversation at all. So I want to teach you a tool for interrupting that's called interrupting with clarity and class. And I'll give you two animals to keep in mind to anchor this for you so you remember it forever. One is a pelican landing on the water, and the other is a great white shark. So when we think about interrupting with clarity and class, that's really the pelican. The shark is a different matter. We'll get to that in a second. When you see a pelican landing on the water, they fly in, you can see they're going to make a landing, they make a splash in the water, and then very soon they try to paddle as gracefully along as they can, making very little waves. Same thing goes here. So when you're thinking about how to interrupt with clarity and class, there's three stages. First, you're going to name that you're doing it. I need to interrupt for a moment. Two, you're going to give context. Why you're doing the thing. Because there's some information this room doesn't know yet that I do that I think will guide this conversation in a very useful way. And then number three, you build on things in a positive way. There's some great points that have been brought up, and I think this will actually deepen and advance the conversation very quickly. And then you share your point. You name it, you give it context, and you build in a positive way. Now, if you really want to have some fun with this, we actually have our clients to practice this. Imagining they're a pelican, and they go like this as they're coming in to land on the water. They're going to name that they're going to interrupt. I need to interrupt for a moment. Then as they land in the water, they give it some context because I have new information that's going to be relevant to our conversation, and then they just paddle along as smooth as possible. It's a great point we've all brought up, and let's continue in such and such way. That's interrupting with clarity and class. Name it, give context, build in a positive way. On this side is the great white shark. There are times, and I mean few, very, very few, but there are times in your life in which you just have to interrupt, and I mean like a shark. Like a great white shark attacking with its jaws. That's inaccurate. I disagree. I can't abide by that. Now, admittedly and hopefully, this is a micro fraction of your business interactions in your life. At the same time, once in a while, it may be necessary. And if you can't do both, on some level, you're robbing yourself of some options.